इस कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं आमंत्रित करती हूँ श्री तुषार मेहता जी को, एडिशनल सॉलिसिटर जनरल हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, कि वे आएँ और जुडिशियल रिफॉर्म्स पर हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें और जुडिशियल रिफॉर्म्स के बारे में हमें कुछ बताएं।
Honorable Law Minister Shri Ravi Shankar ji, Honorable Justice C.K. Thakkar Sahab, Bhupender ji, Krishnamani ji, all dignitaries on the dais and all dignitaries of the dais. All of us, irrespective of where we are sitting, are here for the same cause, sitting at the same mental and spiritual level. First of all, I would like to thank Adhivakta Parishad for giving me this opportunity to have some interaction with you on the question of judicial reforms. Friends, judicial reforms in any country generally is conceived to be taking place at 4 levels. First, at the level of judiciary. Second, at the level of the government. Third, at the level of the legal professionals. And fourth, at the level of litigants. The litigant would come into picture and he would jump into fray if rest of the 3 fail to discharge their obligation of judicial reforms. And that would be a very, very dangerous situation when the litigant starts reforming the judicial structure. So far as the judicial reforms by the judiciary is concerned, judiciary is concerned about it and they are taking steps. So far as judicial reforms to be undertaken by the government is concerned, the government also is worried about it, concerned about it, and will be taking steps. I was just wondering a few days back that when we talk about judicial reforms, what is the beginning point at which any country would start its judicial reforms or reforms for that matter in any sphere? The traditional theory is the first point of any reform, any process of reformation is acceptance of the fact that there is a requirement of reform. So far, as a country, except some whispering here or there, we are satisfied that the system is working well. It has some lacunas, it has some drawbacks, but by and large the system is working well. This approach is nothing less than applying a band-aid to a very serious cancerous growth. So far, what as a society we have done is merely applying a band-aid in spite of the fact that we should be aware that the disease has assumed the seriousness of a serious cancerous growth. Friends, now we have a dynamic Prime Minister and a dynamic Law Minister. The process of reform has started at every level. I am not required to go into the question as to how the judiciary would reform or contribute to the reforms and how the government would do that, because both institutions are in good hands. Our concern is how we, as not only members of the bar, but perceived to be enlightened, educated members of the society can contribute to judicial reforms, so as to ensure that the litigant who has started losing faith in the system, who has already started losing faith in us, is not compelled to start a revolutionary act of judicial reforms on his own as per his understanding of law. This is the stage at which our role as members of the bar and as perceived informed members of the society starts. So all of us, friends, are members of this fraternity, and we know where the shoe pinches. Judicial reforms does not merely mean disposal of cases. Judicial reforms does not necessarily mean quick justice, though it can be one of the facets. Judicial reform, in true sense of the term, can only mean the consumer of the justice delivery system, the litigant, that common man for which this entire infrastructure is built under the Constitution, namely the judiciary, the executive, the legislature, the fundamental rights, sleeps with the satisfaction that I have been given a fair deal. In totality, I am satisfied with the way in which my problem was treated. He is not concerned with this committee, that commission, this report, that report, bills introduced in Parliament, debated. He is concerned with the final outcome, and the final outcome essentially, necessarily depends upon the way in which we treat that common man, the consumer of the judicial system. If we take an oath as members of the bar, we may not be in a position on our own to deliver justice expeditiously, but at least we will not be responsible for the delay. That would satisfy him. B, we would treat this profession not as a money-making machine. Problem in any judicial reform in any part of the country is that the two major stakeholders, namely the litigant and those who are instrumental in justice delivery system, namely the lawyers, we shift our burden of judicial reforms either upon the government or upon the judiciary or upon the both. We feel that everything is working fine. If judges start disposing of the matters fast, the litigant would be satisfied. If the government does A, B, C, D, maybe litigant would be satisfied. There are very few instances where in an august gathering like this, we would be discussing, at least for a year, what can we do apart from what the government is doing and will do, so as to ensure that the judicial reform does not remain in the two paperbacks of one book or an article, but in fact reaches to that common man for which this entire infrastructure is created. You please examine in your respective courts the entire infrastructure, courtrooms, sometimes air conditioner courtrooms, bar rooms for us, mostly air conditioner bar rooms, chambers, judges' chambers, lawyers' chambers, a big infrastructure for the purpose of justice delivery system. If I come as a litigant with a tiffin in my hand in the morning, thinking that my matter might reach today, I don't have a place anywhere in any court where I can open my tiffin and have my meal. That is the way in which we treat that common man for whose benefit this entire edifice is created under the Constitution. It is a bitter truth, but we will have to tell that truth to ourselves. Let us give him a healing touch that yes, we are concerned about you. We recognize that this system exists because of you. The system does not exist so as to ensure that we as lawyers earn, but we as lawyers earn because we are conferred with the duty of helping you reach justice wherever it is found. I was informed that I am not entitled to bore you for more than 7 to 8 minutes. You have tolerated me enough, and somebody has given a very good definition of a good speech, a good beginning, a good end, and as short the time possible as it is necessary between the two. I am trying to keep that as short as possible. I once again thank the organizers, the Parishad, and I extend my full cooperation in whichever manner I can contribute to the wisdom and the very basic ethos of the Parishad. I would always be available. Thank you so much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद तुषार मेहता जी आपका।